Okie doke. Hi. How's everybody doing today? That's our fun opening with Corbin and I. That's our cute little short that he put together. So I hope everybody has had a good day so far. This is the page that we did yesterday that I've got up on screen now. It is the suggestion was from Jim. It was. I lost my note. Oh, that's why I put it over here. It was every time I'm drawing on my tablet in a coffee shop, I'm looking out for saber-tooth tiger text. So thank you very much for that suggestion, Jim. That was a lot of fun to do, and I hope you don't mind me drawing on that page. Jim says, happiest of Fridays, my friend. Hey, happiest of Fridays to you. Thank you for the suggestion yesterday. It was good fun. I sort of did it I improvised the page. So, and I thought, I better sit down and draw a better saber-tooth tiger than what I put together during that quick random sketching that I did. So, are you coming in now? You see a closed door? You gotta open it? Sorry, when the cat's just pushed in. I got the door closed because we have a technician fixing some equipment in the house here. Doesn't matter anyways. So, so this was a fun page to do. I drew both Jim and the saber-tooth. Hi, babe. There you go. I drew both Jim and saber-tooth. Let's put Cat Cam up. Cat Cam! So this is the original drawing for that. And this is Baby. Hi, Baby. She's 15. This is the cat you seldom see. Okay, so you gonna chill? You gonna hang out in the studio with Dad? All right. So this was a fun page to do. I did the two surface drawings in ballpoint pen, and the coloring I did for the hair and the skin is an overlay zipper-tone dots, and which was also fun to go about doing. You just got to try and experiment with different things. So I hope that Jim doesn't mind this page, but there we go. So this is from our talk yesterday about drawing with shapes and just exploring the avenues that we have for creativity, and that nothing should be hurdles for us to overcome, because if we just look at it as building our self-confidence up enough so that we can sit down and say, I'm going to give my imagination a chance to leak out, and in whatever rudimentary ability that we have for making any marks, whether that's very basic or very complicated, we can develop that further with observation. So I appreciate everybody that joined us yesterday, and Baby's enjoying her time in the camera there, chilling like a villain. Okay, so I'll put that off just so you can lay down. There you go. That's about it. So that's yesterday's page. I've been doing a whole bunch of progress on different things. This is just a sketchbook here, and I put this up. Doing a whole bunch of development on a few different things at the same time, and sometimes you have to explore and to try to build up and develop multiple different projects at the same time. Sometimes because here's contract projects and here's things you're being paid to do, and then here's the things that you yourself have your own interest in. I try to keep a few different things in the fire at the same time, just keep myself out of trouble. Gary says, hello, everyone. Hello, Gary. Welcome aboard. So we've got, what I've got here is a jelly plated paper. And so this is just a regular piece of typewriter paper that I have tried to transfer some imagery here. It really didn't turn out. You can see a bit of a taxi cab and maybe shapes of a couple people. But for the most part, unrecognizable. I'm becoming better at jelly plating, but it's been a real learning curve. And if you're not familiar with what jelly plating is, I recommend you take a look at Devin Rex Art. Is a person to look at their work on YouTube and on Instagram because she has a fantastic grasp on all the different opportunities that are presented through jelly plating and to transference of images and building up abstract images and symbolic imagery through a printing process of layering and masking, stenciling, and just wonderful work. So take a look at Devin Rex Art. Zuni's joined us. Hey, how you doing? Welcome aboard. While there's a lack of success in clear and crisp and finished images with me with the jelly plating process, there's a benefit for me in that because I don't want supplied images. I don't want pre-defined images when I'm executing the storytelling pages. What I really require is just some sort of modified foundational base. There's all kinds of interesting marks and complications and things through the surface of this image. And ideally, that's something that others might build upon, transferring other images on top and developing it in that regard. But I look at this and just see the modified surface, the modulation of value, as just interesting. And we're going to draw whatever story we're going to draw on those. And so there's the jelly plating, and then there's alternate outputs from it. Like this is a brayered off piece of paper, and that means the brayer that you roll in the printing process for the jelly plating, you try to take the excess material off of that by rolling it off in another paper, and that's where you get this one. And this is just trying to transfer whatever residual information is left on a plate. So very spotty and just granulation, but it's interesting, gives you something. And this is some plating done with my granddaughter, where she's actually pulling proper shapes and patterns out on it. So there is varying degrees. This is a brayered off. There's varying degrees of execution, and this is just a piece of Bristol board that's printed blue. So there's different degrees of success in this, and that's part of the fun. The surface that we're doing illustration on really shouldn't matter. It shouldn't, depending on what your output is, depending on what your objective is. But in my mind, it doesn't matter to me. The reason for that is that at best, the modulated surface, is just a starting point. So I'm just putting away my insulin. Okay, so in my mind, I'm not overly concerned about this crisp and clean starting point. This is why yesterday in the stream, somebody says I don't want to make mistakes on the paper, and I said start with a mistake, scribble on the piece of paper. And in doing so, well, what are you worried about now? You started from a foundation of a random mark on the surface. You got nothing to worry about anymore. All you're going to do now is just build on that. And if you compound the problem from the original scratching, so what? Next one will be better. Okay, so I hope for those that didn't see it, that joined in late, I'll just show it one last time. And there is today's page. It was a lot of fun to do. There's a real patterning in the hair color when I show it to you digitally here. But the scan and the visualization of that on Instagram and Facebook is pretty clear. So, take a look there. But this was a good fun page to draw. Sabertooth. Jim's always worried about a saber-tooth attack when he's working in a cafe. So, today's suggestion that I just pulled from the book, I've typed it out for you, and it's a man on a haunted, I wrote it down, I forget. A man on a haunted spaceship is today's one-page story suggestion, and this came from Simba L. I have misspelled Simba because it was a Y on the piece of paper. So, leave it up to me, right? So there's that today's suggestion. I thought we'd just get cracking in it. Listen, if anybody has stuff they're working on that they want to share, if anybody has questions around anything that I'm doing or anything that I have done, please feel free to ask. If anybody has, want for engagement on any level, by all means. If you've got a suggestion for a one-page story, feel free to throw a few lines down in the chat, and if you're watching this after, in the comments for the video. Comments are great because comments let me know, hey, somebody saw something here. Chris says, hi. Hi, everyone. Watching from the balcony today. A bit sore and in bed from rest for the day. Oh, my goodness. I hope you feel better, Chris. But thanks for jumping in with us here. Okay, so today's suggestion is, yes, go look at it. Man on a haunted spaceship. It's that haunted part that gives us a sense of direction. Man on spaceship. Well, that leaves it quite open. Everything from Passengers, the motion picture with Star-Lord. In my mind, that guy's always going to be Star-Lord. I can't remember his real name. And, or it could be something like Solaris, 3001. There's so many Alien. There's so many different fantastic examples of person on spaceship story. Man on haunted spaceship is interesting to me because haunted spaceship, is basically what Aliens is, or what Alien, the first one is it's the unknown visitor, the unknown interloper story. And this house is, you got some sort of monster in it. I've always liked that, Chris, that's nice, Zuni. Thank you very much, Zuni, for wishing Chris to feel better. Haunted spaceship, we can add the spirit of a reptilian. Well, I like that. I like that a lot because there's a few different ideas that we convey here. So, but let's start with isolation. I think that isolation is always the sort of emotion or resonance, the sort of feeling that I immediately start thinking of when I start thinking of a haunted context. So, am I washed out here? Let's see if I can tone it back just a little bit. I think that's okay to get less glare on the surface here, because it's there's a sheen to it. The page that there's going to be some sense of glare. It's a little deeper in value than it comes off as it is in real life. So, okay, so let's look at, is this going to turn out? Let's switch the pen. Just go right into a black, just right into some black mark maker. All right, so let's start by drawing. There we go. That mark's showing up. Okay. I hope that while I start reading to the drawing, I hope that some of these tutorials that I'm doing are of benefit to people. I hope that somebody's getting something from it, and I'd be interested, if there's anybody that's getting any application from those. And what I mean by that is there anything that I've touched on in the course of what the ones that I've done so far that people are finding benefit with, that it's helping them on a creative journey. So yeah, if anybody's having that, feel free to put it in the comments or let me know. I know that some people aren't comfortable with commenting in chat, and also some of you are otherwise engaged, and this is just sort of playing in the background. But if people would just prefer me doing the comic pages, keeping my secret sauce to myself, I'm good with that too. All right, so I'm just drawing. So here's the idea. I'm thinking about a high contrast image of a person in the dark. That's my first starting point. And the reason that that's my first starting point is that it's sort of, it gives us a connection to an outlook by having what's potentially our protagonist begin from an unclear standing, an unclear beginning point, sort of leads us to make some sort of determination about the situation at hand, and that situation at hand in this case is dark and foreboding. So that's my initial thought on this. So what I'm going to do is draw this person in heavy, heavy contrast. And in the course of doing so, I hope that it sells that idea. I hope that it sells bleak, no recourse, dark, spooky, all of those different feelings here. So I'm using a Papermate 1.0 millimeter, or M, I don't know what the M stands for, I assume it's millimeter. This is my favorite drawing pen, and the reason that it is because it just has a consistent flow of ink to it, and I like that. So I've got a container here of ink in my hand, and agua. So I put the water away from me so I don't A, spill it, and B, drink it. So I'm complex that way. Complex? I got a complex. Okay. So I thought I would brush in some, there it is, paper towel. I thought I would brush in some ink today, and playing with the viscosity and opaqueness of it, soften it out. Start to develop the contrast of our protagonist. I'm trying to pull up some of this behind. I want to defer and push it back a little bit. I'll zoom in on this so it's maybe that'll cut down on its glare. There we go. Pull that down. There, I think you can see that clearly. It's a little better at least. All right, so now when you put down liquid material, if you are using a heavy amount of water with it, then what's going to happen is the pigment is going to go to the outside area of whatever volume of water that you put down. Now, if it's just when it's heavily saturated, this is generally what tends to happen, whether it's with an acrylic or an ink. It tends to to go to the outside shape. And there's benefit to that. But you have to ask yourself what you're going for. This is one of the brushes that I got from the kids Christmas time. Fun brushes, do the job. So I'm just building up contrasted area. Pushing and pulling that little bit of value around. There's lovely colors in the background. And I like the contrast of the figure. Oh, it's actually kind of see the same, Chris. Thank you. Is it gouache, watercolor, or acrylic? The background is jelly plate. This jelly plated paper with acrylic. Material that I'm using is ink. So Winsor & Newton ink that I've got going down here with ballpoint pen. Thank you for the question. Dee Dee, put your hand up. Camera to get it to focus a bit. Better? Has that helped? Just the brightness. Yeah, just give me a second. Is that better? There you go. Look at this. I can do this on the fly. It's a whole different day. Think that helped? Thanks, Steve. Okay, so we've got our guy down here, and so I've started to define his form, but I just want to play a little bit more with the mark making, and then I'm going to throw down some black into that. But I like the texture of the pen on paper, and even if I'm going to put some dark black ink wash into the shadowed area, I still like putting down these marks with a pen because it just gives us a little more play, so that when we put down that other medium, it's going to go into the crevices first and enhance those, and then we get to build up on the surfaces in between. So as we've got our character here, you know, spaceship in the dark, just gives us a starting point. But it also means I don't have to crosshatch the entire area, because I've given myself this expectation out that I'm going to put some ink wash through the other area. And then I'm going to come back in here and build up this these little points, these little reflection points on our character. So now let's see, what am I missing? Turn on my autofocus. What? Turn on your autofocus with this. I think it is on. Yeah, it's autofocus is on. Okay, well, it's not doing much more for me than that, D. Okay. Yeah. All right, let's just get going. So, I'm still playing with figuring out how this sucker works. Okay, so I've got another Winsor & Newton. This is Liquid India ink. It's the black one. And I'll show you the white one for those that are interested in this kind of thing. So here's the two inks that I'm utilizing, the black and the white. number 974 for the white, and 100 575 for it, I guess, for the black. So yeah, I love these little jars. They're great. Okay, I'm going to switch to a different brush. Now, what I tend to do is to put your hand in, focus robot, and turn it off. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I'm not going to know that. I'm too basic for that right now. And that's only because I got a headache. I just want to get. Thank you for the advice. I'm going to try it after and try to get it sorted out. All right, so I've got a fair amount of water in the black as I'm putting it down, and so that it just sort of diffuses it a little bit. Because I want this textures, I want this business. Well, no, I appreciate it, Didi. I can't figure it out on the fly. And that, I don't know what I did the first time to make it do anything different. I gotta get all that stuff sorted out. All right, so this is the reason that I'm washing the ink in with a fair amount of liquid is that I want that texture to pull through from the. I'll try this camera thing one more time if it's that blurry. And that's enough. I don't know what I did the first time. I did this. That's it. Yeah, I think that's better. I don't know. Okay, thank you. All right, so thank you. I think I see an improvement in the focus of it. Tricky. So I can only do so much water on this paper because it is just typewriter paper. Mind you, it's got a sheen of acrylic paint on it with the jelly plating process. And again, if you want to see a really great example of that, go check out Deb Rex art. Yolanda's got a real handle on that. So yeah, the push. I turned it off. I did turn it off while I was in the screen. Out of focus. Once it focuses in your hand, then turn it off. Yeah, I did that. All right. Okay. So I'm just going to put in trying to take the ink off the brush as much as I'm putting the ink down on the surface. What I mean by that is to soften the opacity of the ink as I'm putting it down. This is pretty dense, those first few marks. And now it's fairly translucent, but again, sort of building up the surfaces. And the reason that I go about it that way is so that I can do these little emphasis points. And then pull those back out again too. Okay, so then I gotta pull out the hair. I cover my hand in ink. I've already done it. I appreciate it, Didi. That's very nice of you to do. They're always very nice. I think I got it. I don't know. I am no good with the technologies. Squeaky chair too. I'm just doing great. Very, very fancy. My studio with my squeaky chair and my lack of understanding of technology. We're doing great. Okay, so this is the sort of building up of contrast values, and then there, that's getting to where I want it. So hopefully now, this is sort of establishing the lead-in. While it's not clearly identifying the character, what it's sort of doing for us is identifying the tone, the emotional tone. And ideally, if we can draw in our readers into the narrative immediately, because we only have a short amount of space to do this in. That's one of the challenges of the one-page story format, is that you don't have time for playing around and nuancing things. You got to sort of get those things sorted out really quickly. You got a short time to impress upon the reader the scenario at hand. So there we go. We're pulling that out. Why don't we help each other with the best picture? Yeah, that's super. That's super cool. That's very much appreciated. Oh, smiley face. There we go. Nice drawing. Oh, thank you, Didi. That's nice. Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe what I'll do is, if you're up for a Didi, we'll do. If you're up for I can have you in my StreamYard and try to figure that out on the camera in the side here. I've got a second StreamYard preloaded, but it's just like a sort of invite conversation one, as opposed to the live one where it's everybody in there, but it does all the same. And that's all the same foundation. I've used that with trying to figure some stuff out before at the very beginning, and I just sort of haven't ever turned it off. So it sits there for whenever people want to gossip. I'm not a gossiper. Okay, so there's our character. And so I'm not building up the shadow all around, because what my intention is with this page is, because it's a haunted spaceship scenario where this person is isolated and sort of trapped in the dark. I'm looking this way. The camera's over there. I'm sorry. I want the images to sort of montage together so that it leads us through the page, but it leads us through the page in an interesting way, different than the norm. I don't want to do this dot business with this page. I've been trying to escape that in the last. I'm always trying experimentation with the different approaches I take to the storytelling format that I use, and to shake up the way I lay out a page and shake up the way I move the eye. The foundational basis is still that it starts in the top left corner and goes to the bottom right. But in between that, we've got a great deal of things that we can do in different ways and try to get progression and movement across that. So that's what I'm pursuing, and yet at the same time, I really want to keep it interesting for the viewer and compel them to move along, to compel them to move through the space. of the page. And so so I'll be adding more black as we go through. Okay. But here's the thing. I've already decided that this panel is going to drop narratively here, and there'll be some text at the top of it. But right here, immediately beside that, I want to draw our principal character again. But what I want to do this time is to have their body throughout the image. I want to have the idea of them walking through the darkness to carry me through on the haunted spaceship and sort of enhance that sense of dread, isolation, the unknown, But we're just trying that out. We're just sort of exploring this as we go, seeing what it gives us. So I'm just defining, can you see that? I think you can, yeah. So with this, I'm going to keep pushing the heavy duty contrast. Lots and lots of shadow. Just because that keeps you guessing, the reader, who's this person, what's their deal, what's going on, where are they, why are they there? And then the parts that we can fill some of those questions in is through the narrative. It's through the narrative structure of it. And but in this process here, I want you to get an emotional feeling as a reader more than I want to give you a easy pat answers. Some of the scribbling that I've been doing in my sketchbook that, accidentally did a sneak peek of today, was I'm trying to draw a lot of scary elements. There's twofold reasons for that. One, I've got a project that I'm working on that I need to have monsters in. And, two, it's something that really isn't necessarily in my wheelhouse at the moment. I don't do an awful lot of horror, macabre, supernatural, gory, yada, yada, yada. So if I can figure out some of those things, that'd be great. So today's page, the reason that I picked it off the page in the first place is because it sort of fits into this mode, of scary scenario. So I'm going to have the character here holding a light, and while I'm going to try to simulate the glare of the light, traditionally, I will try to enhance that a little bit with one more digital little bump of a flare. Glare, which is a flare, I think, of white around the light point. So, but before we get to any of that, we're going to draw our guy in. So we're giving him a dumpy uniform to wear. Spacesuits, huh? Not for the stylish. Robert says, looking very sharp today. Positively snazzy. Groovy, baby. Yeah, thank you. I tend to wear, this came up earlier today. I tend to wear clothes that are comfortable and yet sort of casually, like I like cardigans and I like suit jackets and button-up shirts, and it's a way of hiding amongst the normals. But I think with my hair cut short, it's sort of just because I always sort of dress the same way, but with my hair cut short, no toque on my head, it gives me away a little bit. Also gives away that I'm older, not a baby anymore, but tender age of 39, 100, who knows. It's funny. There we go. And, pull some of these lines down just a little bit, although they will be at the bottom of it. So I'm not overly concerned. All right. So there, like I said, is some of that unnecessary development of the crosshatch that we're just going to hit with some ink in the first place, or eventually anyhow. So I'm going to do some more of the seams in the clothing, and then we'll get the legs in here. Now I have an idea here about the stance, and that is to have the person sort of slumping. Today I look proper grown up. Slow down now. Okay. There we are. A really exciting part to watch, I'm sure. But see the textures that are in that jelly coated surface, whether or not they're clean and crisp and really pull through, they're still in there. Like there's still this crazy edge, and there's still these lines that move through, and then these red and blue values popping out from where this little flecking of value. That's the stuff that makes me happy. So, there we go. So the circle that I've put down here is just a random light source that's in, I guess it'd be like a hallway that our character's moving through. You know what? I might just leave the page layout with this up here as it is, because I keep making decisions that are going to pull these lines into each other in the first place, so I might as well just keep it this way. But what I am going to try is, because I've got this, because I've got that, why not build out this context of the hallway and add some of that to here. And so what I'm going to do with these lines here to denote the extremes of the shadow, and that I've got going down in this area. And then what we're going to do is give a little white to this edge, as though this is where the contact point is for the light that the person's using. And then we get to figure out what is illuminated in the costume and what isn't. So think about, this is what we talked about yesterday, think about the surface points when we think about things in volume. Okay, so when you're thinking about the planes of the object, whatever they are. So what we're going to look at here is if you know you've got this form, let's use our trusty pencil sharpener. If you know you have this form, then if it's a high contrast thing, the light source being up above and in front is putting light here and here. But this part is in shadow, and there is a little bit of reflection from surfaces around that are putting a little lipping of light along the edge of it. for the most part, the bottom part of this sucker is in shadow. So today says, I just remembered a movie from the 80s, an intelligent ship controlled by a woman. She was the mother of the main character. She died while in space, and her spirit was absorbed by the ship. She killed the other astronauts so she could be with her son only. Very scary. That's interesting. It's a very interesting film idea. I'm going to call this college professor chic, one of your Ivy League universities too, not one of your community institutions. Thank you. Sounds pretty scary now. I mean, she killed people by turning off. This is Robert responding to Chris. She killed them by turning the air off or like belly flopping a spaceship on them while they weren't moonwalking. Oh boy. Okay, so I've defined in the composition that I think I'm fully in frame here. Yep. So we've got this definable extremis of where the shadows are going to go that I've put together with this cross hatching, and how it moves up into the previous panel up above. So what we'll need to do is to push that black inside of the little reflections that I'm going to put in the pseudo here. Okay, and the reason that I'm leaving this area void in the layout of the character is, like I said earlier, this is where his flashlight's going to go. So let's start by putting in our some basic whites, some basic white color in here. I'm going to just explore this side for a second with some marks. It's not that all of the black shadowed area has to be penned in, because that's really what the ink wash surface is for us. But like I said earlier, those hash marks in the surface give some interesting marks, little things that happen when the wash goes over top. So, okay, so these marks that am I in camera for this? Yeah, okay, so these marks that I'm putting down here is the extremis of the light from the flashlight. So you'd see a little bit of edging here, a little shadow creeping back in those spaces over there. And we'll let that bleed over into the next part of the image. So let's step back for a moment and put some light back in here. Robert says, imagine being ran by a spaceship. Jesus. There's a funny, I think it's a Korean film, where a character is so confrontational, and it's one of these sci-fi future conflict in space things, that one of the characters continually threatens to be obscene with his opponent's ship. And it's one of those things where when you first watch it, like, that's what? And then you know, because it's a cultural thing too, like the way that jokes are told, and then there's cultural signifiers in the execution of the joke that, you know, I might not initially get because I'm not Korean, but when you watch it on further viewings, once you've seen all of the sort of stylistic joke nuances that are through the whole of the film or television show, in this case a film, then the second time viewing it, you're like, okay, I get it now. I get what these gestures and actions are. And the response from the other actors, the other characters in the drama, sort of informs you of how. There we go. So that's fulfilled this panel a little bit more, and all of the reactions of the other characters in the composition will sort of inform you how it's intended and how, by their response, you should be assessing it as well. Okay, so I've got the whites that I'm putting in now for the features of our guy. Ideally is going to make this pop, pow, from the surface. And we started with the shadow first, and now we're cutting the light surfaces out of the shadow, which is, you know, a little bit opposite to how, you know, the composition is normally approached. We tend to put these lines to signify form and function and textures and stuff like that. So we're just coming at it from the opposite approach. It's no different, you know, one from the other than it's putting light into the darker areas. Caravaggio, absolutely master of chiaroscuro, which is drawing light from darkness, and with such subtlety. And I've always appreciated that. Where did the banter stop when I arrived? By the anti-banter. He was trying to help me figure out the camera, and I think I got it the way that she suggested. I'm going to have to do that more and see if I can have a little time for Dee to walk me through it a little more clearly. Well, I'm not a Luddite. I am an overthinker, and so just do it like this. And, it's not that I go into immediate panic zone. It's just I drive myself crazy. But could it be this one? Is it that one? And this one? And it just takes a moment to figure stuff out. So this is building up some of these surfaces in the sky here. I'm not using a very big brush for this by any means, but it does the job. If it takes a little bit longer anyways. But I think I'll bring this back up. Try to pull that focus a little bit better in here. Is that doing anything for it? There we go. It's not the focus I meant, but try to get it clear with the light. So here's these two panels coming together now, where pull the silhouette out of the darkness here in the first one, and then here in the second one we're putting them in the context of their environment a little more clearly by showing this person alone walking down a spooky dark hallway. Space ship. There's a really fun film called Pandorum that I enjoy. Ben Foster is the lead in it. Dennis Quaid is in it as well. But it's a guy who wakes up on a spaceship where the ship was traveling to a new planet. And he wakes up and nothing's working. Nothing's turned on. +1. Perfect amount of white, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, look at that. I read an anagram. Okay, so the reason that I didn't clearly define the hand here is that I don't have water on that. So here is the central point of where the light is in his hand. And so I'm going to try to get that to make a little bit of sense as the light source. And I'll take a couple of goes over, I think, to really build up specific, really opaque white center, right? Now, I'm just going to hop over here 2 places. One is the same instance as what we're talking about down below. And this is the white light from an alternate source that's up here in the hallway. That's easier to do. Yeah. So thinking about the form, the shape of the objects that we're drawing, and how which parts of them would be in the light more directly and which parts of them would be, like if there's the back of the hand over here, but the thin line at the back of the hand is defined not from the light touching it, but the light reflecting off of other surfaces in that place. So I try to think about that stuff. And the brightest reflective surfaces would be the ones that the light is touching more than the others. And we build that up, right? So the other thing that I wanted to do was I might switch to a larger brush for this. Oh, I got black on this brush. Let's clean that up a little bit. Now, so this is the side wall of the hallway that he's in. Oh, I gotta stop, get this card there. Reaching out of, I gotta be comfortable enough things where you can reach in readily and easy. Okay, so there's the wall coming in now. I'm going to pop the camera back a little bit here, just so that ideally, there we go, you're going to be able to see how the whole of this is going to come together. And hopefully it'll make some sense. Yeah. All right, let's finish the rest of him. Just wanted to get a start on the reflections of light there. So just going to start cutting some of these shapes here too. And then we're going to get some of that black in here. It's important not to just, to me, in my process, it's important that I don't just jump to one hard contrast value or the other. When I'm drawing it, I got it figured out in my head. But what helps me is to build it up in both regards. To build up the light, to build up the dark. Okay, so we got him in there. So let's jump over to that black now. Am I missing stuff? If anybody's got any stuff they want to talk about that they're working on, please feel free to do so. It's the weekend. Has anybody got any grand plans? I finally can fully breathe and pretty much got through the pneumonia now. We never tested any. The assumption is the pneumonia. Or I'm wondering if it might have been the virus. The virus. So hopefully that is going to push it back and forth a little bit. So having the real dark areas coming in should really push forward the light areas. But again, it's build up. I'm not one for really opaque application. I need to bring it together and pull it up gradually. Get it figured out in your noggin first, but when you're doing it, take a moment. Says this is the last weekend free. Next week, back to classes, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Thursday. Oh my goodness, definitely need a day of rest today, Chris. Definitely take it easy this weekend. Brace thyself. For the weekly onslaught of the students. All those demands. Teach me, learn me up. Whatever they say. There we go. A little more paper. Oops. On the top of this file. Even as I say, it's still not really opaque. Am I missing anything? Oh, no, I think I'm caught up. If anybody's got any ideas that they want to suggest, please feel free to do so. I'll take a little more Dee Dee's advice and try to cut the brightness down so it takes out the glare. Hopefully that's working there. It's one of the suggestions that Dee Dee gave me here, just scrolling up. Trying to figure them out as I go through. It's funny about a new camera for the studio here. Fancy new camera. It's not so cheap. Still a cheap camera, no doubt about it. But for me, there's more value to it than the ones that I've been using. Chris says this more. about entertaining than teaching. The students care only about the minimum grade to pass and how many absences they can have. So we'll do that. Reality check will come to them later. Oh my. Yeah, it's tricky. You know? A friend of mine is talking about challenges that he's having with students that are and even faculty that are more interested in experience over education, and he feels hard pressed by that, largely because he's got a very advanced, it's been part of a very advanced program, and he just can't get over that even in this advanced program, the kids are, he's had kids ask him, hey, can't you just give us the answers and we'll study it as we go? What? I can completely understand. Definitely can't feel inspired when people phone into something that you're engaged in with them. That's there. Okay, so eerie eyes looking at the man. Oh, dun 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 dun. English as foreign language has always been considered a filler subject. Students don't care about it, says Chris. Well, they signed up for it. I thought the shadow behind the child were indistinct wings, and then the offhand was the last of the morning reflected from behind him. God was silently judging over his shoulder. This is intense. Now, it's not the devil. I'm kind of disappointed. Still like the dark overtones and copious use of splattered red, though. There we go. There's a lot of the gaming activities to get better results. Yeah, it's funny. The talk I did yesterday about using shapes to draw anything is something that when I'm talking to, going into schools to talk about storytelling, it's something that works from I taught from grade three up to business school, enriched university program, and it works with all of them, no matter how old or how young. That's the razzle dazzle right there. I hear you, Christopher. You were not very razzle dazzle yesterday. I didn't say I was a lot of razzle dazzle. But, you gotta sometimes bring in the big pow. Hey kids, look at this. So I haven't defined any farther than this sort of decided upon line, because this is our next shape that we need to put in here and to sort of move it into the composition. So with that, I haven't overly defined that, because we're going to make those decisions in the same way as we made these decisions right here. And then I'm going to beef up the shadow and lit up hallway sections. Okay, that's feeling good. Students now have an attention span of 20 minutes, so I plan accordingly. A little theory, more teamwork, lots of gamification. There you go. I considered kicking open the door of the class to start the classroom and go, hi kids. Just be silly. All right, your next English assignment, I want you to break off in groups of 2 and wrestle to see which one of you is going to have to write, the other one's going to have to edit. And fight. And I should think, not that man, New York. It's so as I'm putting more. I love these things. But as I'm putting more layers down in this area, so it's becoming more and more opaque in certain places, and gives a sort of haloing around others. And again, that's I'm going to do a little bump in the digital approach to it. Robert says, I think social media has made us all ADHD-ish. Or is it just me? Oh, look, a butterfly. What was I saying? I know that there's certain, well, okay, look at my ineptitude earlier about G's trying to say, just do this with the camera. And I'm like, oh, but that's more of a processing thing than it is attention thing. But you read the book and you try to do the application, but there might be just a difference in, your comprehension towards certain things, certain ways of learning. With technology, I tend to fumble before I get running with it. Flailing about. How does a robot work? Okay, so building up our guy. Zoom. Well, Chris says we're getting the virus generation now. People who didn't learn anything in high school. Oh no. Yeah, we try to do extra things with the youngest, but our second youngest, he graduated in the midst of this whole lockdown here in Canada and just spoiled his whole, the sense of graduation and accomplishment is just sort of taken from these kids. Common education was started in order to facilitate workers being able to grasp the new concepts of the Industrial Revolution and machinery. So we start giving them a basic education so they don't break all of our toys. And because they're the ones that have to use them to do the work, because the aristocracy does nothing. And so that's where education started. So as much as I'd like to believe that there was always a noble intention, the system just doesn't. Teachers that go in there with the full soul, ready to teach. The system doesn't have a soul. Don't even get me started about unions. Anyways, online classes never worked here. Yeah, no, I don't think they worked at all. Most families just had one computer at home, so the whole time they're online, they're not doing anything. These kids lack so many basic skills to study. We have an embargo in our house for devices, which is so hypocritical considering that, clearly I'm utilizing devices to be doing this with you. But no, we've got books and paper and backyard and map. There's in the grandkids' room, I got a gigantic map on the wall. Here's the place where you live. Here's the earth. And even if the scaling is slightly wrong. But it doesn't represent the flat earth underneath. this subcontinent, the land that time forgot. Okay, so at a certain point, I have got to be prepared to step back, or I'll just keep, trying to give little bumps along the way with the contrast. We're almost there. Okay, so yeah, I try to do what I can with people online to do a couple of teaching things over the course of the lockdowns here in Canada, and I don't feel like many of them. It's almost tactile that you can feel when you've got people that you're showing something and you're doing it online. You can almost feel the ones that are doing something else or looking someplace else. It's a weird sense, but it's almost something you feel. Okay, so I'm going to put a little push around here. There's the nice halo effect around the face. My daughter is the opposite. Online was a benefit. She went from C's to A's and B's because she had less pressure and less distraction. That's great. Chris is offended. Did I offend? Oh, I'm sorry. What did I miss? Now they're at university, all these deficiencies, plus getting offended by everyone and everything. It's hard to handle. That's why I say I entertain and use gains for better results. Yeah, well, you've got to hold people's attention, right? That's why halfway through my streams, I go, I have actually been working on some videos to show you some fun little, sponsors, and like Bob's House of Fish, and I do have some commercials and stuff coming up, but that's less because I believe that I can't hold attention, and more because they're fun and silly, and it gives me a chance in case I have to excuse myself for a proper moment. Okay, so I'm going to come in here with another hit of that white and try to build up this light on the wall. Yeah, I think that's coming through. I have to look over at the camera to see how that's yeah, there's definitely a sensitivity that's going on now, but I don't think it's just the kids that are becoming more sensitive. I think that because of a degree of removal, a degree of distancing of self, from others, when it's permissible in the society to extract oneself and isolate from everybody else. There was an awful lot of people that did no benefit for, unfortunately. If anything, it had sort of enhanced their eccentricities. I mean, downtown where I live and where I was working was interesting. It's just the whole shock and awe of it. Chris says, I think here it's more culturally oriented than failed online classes. The people here like to be told what to do and blame others if it doesn't work or if they forget. Wow, that's contrarian. I think up here, a lot of people felt their civil liberty was stripped from them. You hear an awful lot of talk like that. But we had like some extremes in the area where I live, where, Robert, where nearby where Robert lives, I know that there was a massive amount of people that were directly objecting, like directly rebuking the all the isolation protocols and stuff in this sort of very, very public way. Okay, so here, without the glare, you can see a little more clearly how I'm building up. Now I'm building up the light from the flashlight around the feet and the wall. But I'm pretty pleased with that first panel, the face and repose there. And then this second panel now with this character stepping out of darkness. I think, honestly, if I'm going, when I scan this, I'm going to pull the proportions up a little bit because it just feels a little squashed to me. But here students say the teacher flunked me. Well, kids say that everywhere. They never say I failed the class despite knowing they never did any homework. And Chris says the contrast is awesome. I love it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think kids say that everywhere. I think all kids say, yeah, I got flunked. Teacher failed me. It's hard. It's hard for anybody to say, I failed. I made a boo-boo. Okay, so I'm feeling good where this is going. I need to build up a little more of the light part in the wall. And there's a part of me that wants to draw elements into this, like a seam maybe, and the surfaces or something like that, and to push lines along the edge of that. But this is just using a ballpoint pen on this jelly-plated paper with a black ink and a white ink, and building those up as soft washes. So, I mean, if you are doing jelly plating, or if you do find modified surfaces or modulated surfaces, or you have to build some up on your own, try to utilize those. Try to utilize those for compositions. And, you can allow some of these values, to peek through, like this, the blue and the red are still seeping through this. And let's just flare right out. And that's part of the fun, is that it's not just a flat black, a flat white. There's these textures in there, and there's this sort of translucence to the value. And because of that, the values, the colors that are in behind are just sort of seeping through. And it gives more character and more, I usually say it gives complexity to the surface, but maybe complexity isn't the right word, and just depth might be a word. But, there's still lots more to do. Contrast is always great. Nice technique. Oh, thanks, Chris. I advocate more people try illustrating on goofy surfaces like I do. Okay, so thank you, everybody that's come to help out. Thank you, Dee Dee, for the suggestions earlier. I'm going to try to work on that a little bit more with the live camera and really get that streamlined, because I clearly fumbled through it today and frustrated myself, really. I enjoyed doing today's page. I hope people got a kick out of the page that we posted today of Jim and looking out for saber-tooth attacks. This was a fun one to do and a very mixed application. And then I'm taking a left turn today and doing a completely different type of application. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. It's Friday. I will probably pop up at some point this weekend and just have the camera on while I'm working. I used to at the start of last year, I would just turn it on, and because of less engagement, I would really just sort of talk specifically and say, I'm making this line here now. Now I use a blue. Um, and I enjoyed that, but at the same time, I think I enjoy the interaction, the engagement so much. So, Suni says, oh, Chris says, thanks, bye, everybody. Suni says, thanks. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, Christopher. Awesome concept. Oh, thanks. So the suggestion for today is a man on a haunted spaceship, and Simba, I'm not sure it's pronounced, Symba, suggested this, and I think it's Simba. If not, I apologize. And so I'm going to do this with no clearly defined panels and just move the story textually through the composition and carry the eye around the images that way. So I'll have this posted for Monday, and over the weekend I will be posting a few more pages on Patreon. I tend to post weekend pages there, and and I've got a couple other things that I'm working on that I got post-ups to do, and ideally I should be finishing some of these videos that we've been working on here. So yeah, lots of things happening. And thank you everybody for your engagement, and thank you very much everybody for the one-page story suggestions. I always appreciate those coming in, and if you have any, feel free to throw them out there. Yeah, so lots of things on the burner right now. But in the meantime, I got to get back and work on something that is due. So. I appreciate time with everybody today. I hope you have a good one. I will pop up this weekend, and I'll just sort of, you'll see if in your YouTube, if you're on there, when I sort of I have no idea what time it will be. And I will be back for sure on Monday at 2 p.m. EST. Okay? So thanks very much, everybody. Bye for now.